Alright, so the next two characters coming out in Wuthering 3.1 is going to be Amieth and Luke. Luke. I already forgot how to pronounce his name. It's been a while since I already played through the main story. But what they're going to be is Mr. Hersen is going to be a Spectral Gauntlets character, and then our Amieth is going to be a Fusion Sword character. And based off of leaks, we already have a rough idea of what they're going to be doing. Amieth is going to be a main damage dealer, Resonance Liberation damage, so RIP Lupa mains, Fusion Burst, Tune Rupture response, and Tune Strain response, which they both have. But Mr. Hersen is also going to be a main damage dealing character. He's going to be a basic attack damage dealing character, and then he's going to have both of the Rupture Strain responses. So in general, who's going to be more free to play / more worth it if you are only going to be able to get one character? Based off of leaks already, unfortunately for those who were planning on not going to or failed to do so, Lene seems to be the absolute best supporting character for both of these characters. With Lene and Chisa speculatively going to be one of the better team options for Amieth, also along with Mornay for her, and then Mr. Hersen's his best supporter is going to be Lene as well. So it's essentially what you want to be doing for the specific character. Also, given the fact that, you know, if you have good gauntlets or if you have a good sword to put on both of these characters, right, that is going to be a priority that you want to be focusing on. You can also run like a fusion-esque team with Amieth right here, and like, you know, for example, you could be having her, granted she's not going to be getting all of the buffs, but you could be having her with like a Lupa Brant team. You get some healing there, you get some damage dealing supporting capabilities like quick swapping. Even though she is a main damage dealing character, she is able to be run on that team, a full fusion setup, which is very common and popular among a lot of players. And then Mr. Hersen, it's kind of difficult with him because of the fact that in terms of Spectro characters, like when you think of Spectro characters, obviously you think of Zani and Phoebe, and that is a core setup that's not going to be disturbed, right? But you can also go that route too. You can do Hersen as long with Lene, and you have one team setup right there. And then like an example would be another team setup of like all fusion characters with Amieth, with Lupa, with Brant, or you can have Mornay, or you can, you know, just have that going with Chisa as well, possibly. So it's very interesting to see where the direction they're gonna go with both of these characters. You got to keep in mind too, because they do want the tune break mechanic to be very prevalent in 3.0 or 3.x, just in general, the entirety of that 3-point patch. And these characters are going to be your main damage dealing characters, right? We already have these supports of Mornay and Lene coming out to boost and buff the tune break mechanic, and these are the characters who are really going to capitalize on that, so they can sell these characters and make more money and, you know, be more proficient at it than the older characters, so they can kind of gear end game content towards these characters, and that's going to be the main priority. So that is what I think is going to end up happening with WuWa, right? It's going to be these two characters, and whatever characters come out after this is just focusing and prioritizing the tune break mechanic, possibly even buffing these two characters, or even releasing another supporting character for a future damage dealing character. But in terms of like at this current point right now, without actually having like beta testing information out, between these two characters, who do I think is probably more valuable and who is more beneficial for an account? I honestly think it's going to be Amieth, given the fact that she is kind of an unknown character in the entirety of the 3.x patch currently at this point, even though it is just like 0.0 patch, right? And she's coming out 0.1, because of the fact that she is fusion, and we have a dedicated fusion team already, fusion characters who work well together, and you can actually slot her in. She's not going to get the complete buffs going, but she is able to slot into a prior existing team that most players who are free to play most likely have, and that is going to be a good route. Even if you have no Brant, right, and you have like Lupa and you have Galbrena, you can just slot Amelia in and boom, you have 2 damage dealing characters. You have a supporter with Lupa and you're good to go. In comparison to Herson, where the spectral characters for the most part aren't really like supporting characters, except Phoebe. They're mainly damage dealing characters. I'm talking outside of Lene, obviously, you know, unless you do have her, then Herson is actually pretty decent because Lene boosts him. But if you do not have that route, broadly speaking, the main, you know, spectral characters are Phoebe, Zani, and oh my god, I forgot the first resonator chick with the dragon. You have her. I'm blanking. I feel bad because that was like the first character I summoned for. But that's the route I think most players should eventually be taking, as Amieth is actually going to be better off for your account rather than Herson.